Far away from Earth, on the edge of known space, there was a small green world where the sun shone weak and the nights were longer than the days. The world was quiet, untouched by war, and home to a gentle tribe of alien beings who lived close to the rivers and the forests. They were not a powerful race. They had no great weapons, no mighty fleets, and no ambition for conquest. They only wished to live in peace, raise their young, and sing their old songs to the stars. But everything changed the day they found the child. It was a human child, small and lost, no more than 6 years old, wandering at the edge of the forest. His clothes were torn, his face was dirty, and his eyes were full of fear. The tribe could see at once that he was not one of them, for humans were taller, their skin smoother, and their voices sharper. The elders of the tribe looked at him and whispered among themselves. They knew very well that to shelter a human was dangerous. The galaxy was full of whispers about the humans of Earth. Some species admired them. Some feared them. And many hated them. To stand with humanity was to invite enemies. And yet, as the child trembled and cried, the tribe felt something stir inside them. They could not leave him alone. One of the elders stepped forward, her eyes shining with kindness. She bent down and touched the child's face. He did not pull away. Instead, he clung to her arm, as if he knew he was safe at last. And in that moment, the choice was made. The tribe would protect him. They carried him back to their village, a cluster of wooden homes built around a silver river. The child was given food, soft bedding, and gentle care. At night, when he cried for his parents, the tribe sang to him, songs without words but filled with warmth. Slowly, he began to smile again. But not everyone was happy. Some younger warriors questioned the decision. If the others hear of this, we will be hunted, they said. The galaxy does not forgive those who take the side of humans. But the elder only answered, then let them come. This child is innocent. If we do not protect him, then what kind of people are we? Days passed, and the child grew stronger. He began to learn a few words of their language, pointing at things and laughing. The tribe's children played with him, chasing each other along the riverbanks. For a short while, it seemed like peace had returned. But far above, in the blackness of space, other eyes were watching. A patrol ship belonging to a hostile species detected unusual energy signals from the planet. They scanned and discovered something shocking, a human life form. The report was sent at once to their leaders, and the order came quickly: capture the human, destroy anyone who resists. For them, humans were not to be protected. They were to be feared, controlled, or eliminated. Down in the village, the tribe had no idea that danger was coming. But one night, as the stars burned cold above them, the elder felt a heaviness in her chest. She looked at the child sleeping peacefully and whispered to herself, the galaxy will not let us keep you safe. But still, we will try. And she was right. For even then, the enemy ships were on their way. Engines burned in silence as dark shapes moved across the void, closing in on the quiet little world. The tribe knew nothing of fleets or strategies, but deep within their hearts, they understood one truth. They had chosen to protect a child of Earth, and that choice would soon test them in ways they could not imagine. In the morning, the child awoke to the sound of drums. The warriors of the tribe gathered in the square. The elder stood before them and said, strangers will come. They will demand the child. But this child is ours to guard. Even if we are small, even if we are weak, we will not give him up. A silence followed her words, but then one by one, the warriors raised their spears. They were afraid, yes, but they were ready. The child did not understand their words, but he saw their faces, and something inside him told him he was safe. He clung to the elder's robe, and the tribe sang once more, their voices rising into the sky. That night, as the winds moved through the forest and the stars glimmered cold, the first shadow fell over the village. A dark shape blocked the moonlight. The enemy had arrived. And the tribe's choice, made with compassion, would soon bring fire and blood to their home. The night was heavy with silence as the strange ship descended through the clouds. Its hull was black and sharp like a blade, and its engines glowed with a sick red light. The peaceful tribe had never seen such a thing before, but when the ground trembled and the sky shook, they knew at once that danger had come. The elder gathered her people in the village square, and a human child clung to her robe with wide, frightened eyes. The warriors of the tribe, carrying only their spears and wooden shields, formed a circle around the child. They had heard stories of the hostile species that hunted humans, but stories were nothing compared to the reality now looming above their heads. From the belly of the ship, bright beams of light spilled down, and tall dark figures marched out. Their armor was heavy, their weapons glowed with strange energy, and their eyes were cold and merciless. One of them stepped forward and spoke in a harsh voice that echoed through the night. "Give us the human," he said, "and we will spare your kind. Refuse, and you will all die." The elder stood tall though her body trembled. She answered with a steady voice, "This child is under our care. We will not hand him to you." A cold laugh followed her words. The enemy commander raised his hand, and at once, his soldiers pointed their weapons at the tribe. The villagers tightened their circle. Fear shone in their eyes, but still, no one stepped aside. The child hid his face, but he could hear the rumble of alien voices and the thrum of deadly energy weapons charging. Then the elder lifted her staff high and gave a single command. The drums of the tribe thundered in the dark, and the warriors roared, charging at the intruders with all the courage they had. The first clash was brutal. Energy blasts tore through the air, burning the ground, shattering huts, and filling the night with smoke and fire. Yet the warriors did not break. They leapt and struck, their spears piercing armor, their shields blocking what little they could. For every warrior that fell, another stepped forward, refusing to let the line collapse. The child watched in terror, but also in awe, for these beings fought not for themselves but for him. The enemy soldiers were stronger, faster, and far more advanced, but they were not prepared for the fierce will of a tribe defending something greater than their own lives. Screams filled the air as both sides fell. Blood stained the ground, fire consumed the wooden homes, and the once peaceful village became a battlefield. Yet even as the night grew darker with smoke, the warriors did not retreat. The elder stood at the center, chanting old songs of courage, her voice rising above the chaos. Her people fought with fury, their hearts burning with the knowledge that to surrender the child would be to lose their honor, their spirit, their very soul. The enemy commander grew angry. He had expected them to break at once, to throw down their weapons and beg for mercy. Instead, he saw defiance in their eyes. He raised his hand and gave the order for total destruction. More soldiers poured from the ship, their weapons blazing. Huts crumbled, flames spread, and still the tribe held the line. They were being pushed back inch by inch, their numbers shrinking, but no one abandoned the child. The elder kept him hidden behind her as she raised her staff, striking at any who dared to come close. The child cried, reaching out small hands as if to shield her, though he was powerless. And still, the tribe fought on. Hours seemed to pass in moments, the battle a blur of fire and screams. The smell of smoke and blood filled the air. Yet even as hope faded, the warriors' hearts did not. For they knew that history itself was watching. They knew that if they failed, no one would ever remember their names. But if they held on, if they kept the child safe even for a little longer, then perhaps someone, somewhere, would know of their courage. The enemy commander, furious now, pushed forward with his own blade. He cut down 3 warriors with a single strike and reached for the child. The elder stepped in his path, staff raised, eyes blazing with defiance. The clash of his weapon against her staff rang through the village, and the child screamed. For a moment, it seemed the elder would fall. For a moment, it seemed all would be lost. But then, in the distance, a new sound rose above the chaos. A low hum, growing louder, brighter, stronger. The enemy commander froze. His soldiers looked to the sky. The tribe turned their weary eyes upward. And there, breaking through the clouds with engines roaring, came another ship, not dark, not cruel, but bright with the mark of earth. The enemy commander froze as the new ship cut through the clouds, its engines burning bright against the smoke of the village. It was smaller than the black warship, but its design was sharp and strong, its hull marked with the symbol of earth. For a moment, silence fell across the battlefield. The tribe, bruised and bleeding, lifted their eyes in wonder. The child gasped and reached out with small trembling hands as if calling to his own kind. The enemy soldiers growled in frustration, weapons still pointed at the villagers, but now their eyes flicked nervously between the elder and the sky. Then the earthship landed with a heavy thud, sending dust and ash into the air. Its ramp lowered slowly, and from within stepped armored figures, humans armed with rifles that gleamed in the firelight. Their faces were hard, their eyes sharp, and their movements precise. They were soldiers of Earth, trained for battle, ready for war. The enemy commander snarled and shouted orders, but before his troops could fire, the human soldiers raised their weapons and unleashed a storm of light. Blasts cut through the night, striking down the enemy with deadly accuracy. The tribe, stunned but relieved, cheered weakly, though they still stood ready to fight. The elder held the child close, her eyes wet with tears, as the first humans approached. One of the human soldiers, taller than the rest, stopped when he saw the boy. His voice softened even under the noise of battle. "He is alive," he said, his tone carrying both shock and relief. The child cried out and ran forward, throwing himself into the arms of the soldier, who lifted him high and held him tight. For a moment, amid the fire and blood, there was a spark of hope. But the enemy commander roared in fury. He raised his blade and charged at the human soldier holding the child. The elder stepped forward, striking with her staff to block his path, but the commander was strong and sent her crashing to the ground. The human soldier turned, shielded the boy with his body, and fired a blast that struck the commander across the chest. The enemy fell back with a howl but did not die. He rose again, his armor sparking, his eyes blazing with hate. The battlefield erupted once more into chaos. The human soldiers fought fiercely, covering the villagers with firepower, but the enemy forces were many, and their weapons cut through the burning huts like knives through paper. The tribe, though exhausted, joined the humans in battle. Side by side, they struck back, the villagers with spears and the humans with rifles, fighting as if they had been allies for generations. The elder, wounded but unbroken, stood once more, chanting her battle song. Her voice carried through the smoke, giving courage to her people. The child clung to the human soldier, tears streaking his dirty face, watching as his protectors fought and bled for him. The enemy commander bellowed again and raised his weapon for a final assault. He pointed at the humans and shouted, "You will all fall. The child is ours." But even as his voice thundered, more human ships appeared in the sky. 3, then 4, then more, breaking through the clouds with power and speed. Reinforcements had arrived. The humans poured down in force, their weapons blazing, their armor shining in the firelight. The enemy soldiers hesitated, fear flickering in their eyes. They had expected an easy capture, a simple slaughter of a weak tribe. Instead, they now faced the wrath of Earth. The commander roared and ordered them to fight, but their courage wavered. Some tried to retreat to the ship, only to be cut down by human fire. Others stood their ground and fell where they stood. The tribe watched in awe as the tide turned. For the first time, it seemed they might survive. The elder looked at the human captain, the one holding the child, and their eyes met. No words were needed. In that single glance, an unspoken truth passed between them. This tribe had risked everything for a human life, and for that, humanity would not abandon them. Still, the battle was not yet over. The enemy commander, enraged and desperate, charged once more. He cut through 2 human soldiers with savage blows, his armor glowing red, his strength monstrous. He raised his weapon high and roared as he swung at the human captain. The elder, broken and bleeding, pushed herself forward one last time. With her final strength, she struck her staff against the commander's arm, slowing his strike just enough. The human captain fired point blank into the commander's chest. The blast tore through his armor, and at last, the great enemy fell, his roar echoing into silence. The battlefield went quiet, save for the crackle of fire and the heavy breaths of the survivors. The humans secured the area, checking for survivors, gathering their wounded. The tribe stood among the ruins of their home, broken but alive, their spears still in hand. The child clung to the captain's shoulder, his small face pressed into the armor, whispering a single word through tears. Safe. The elder sank to her knees, exhausted, but a faint smile touched her lips. She had kept her promise. The child had been protected. And though her people had suffered, though many had fallen, their courage had carried them through the fire. The human captain looked upon the tribe, their broken homes, their bloodied warriors, and he made a silent vow. Their sacrifice would not be forgotten. Their choice to protect a single human child would echo far beyond this night. And as the dawn began to break over the ruined village, the humans raised their banner, and the promise of Earth's protection was born. The sun rose slowly over the shattered village, its light falling on broken huts, scorched earth, and the bodies of those who had given their lives in the night. Smoke curled into the sky, carrying with it the memory of battle. The tribe moved silently among the ruins, tending to the wounded, gathering the fallen, and whispering prayers for the dead. The human soldiers, though strangers, worked beside them, helping lift debris, sharing their supplies, and treating the injured with steady hands. The human captain, still carrying the child in his arms, walked through the wreckage with heavy steps. He looked at the tribe, their faces lined with grief and exhaustion, and he felt something stir deep within him. He had seen many battles, but never had he seen such bravery from a people so small and so defenseless. They had stood against an enemy far stronger than themselves, not for power, not for land, not for glory, but for a child who was not even of their kind. It was a courage he could not ignore. As the day warmed, the captain opened a calm link to his fleet. His voice was calm but heavy with meaning. This is Captain Darren. We have recovered a missing child of Earth. But there is more. There is a tribe here who risked everything to protect him. They fought until their blood stained the ground. They defended him as if he was one of their own. They deserve to be heard. His message traveled swiftly through channels, climbing higher until it reached the ears of Earth Command. In secret rooms deep within human space, generals, admirals, and leaders gathered to hear his report. At first, some were doubtful. Why should we care about a small tribe on a forgotten world? One asked. Another said, perhaps they only wanted a favor from us. Perhaps they are using the child as a bargaining tool. But the captain's voice was steady as he continued his report. I saw them stand against impossible odds. I saw them bleed when they could have surrendered. They had no reason to fight for him, no reward to gain, no hope of victory. Yet they chose to stand. Not because they were ordered, but because they believed it was right. That choice must mean something. The room fell silent. Outside, whispers spread quickly through the human fleet. Soldiers who had fought that night told their comrades of the bravery they had seen. Stories passed from ship to ship, then from planet to planet. Soon, the tale reached the ears of ordinary people across Earth. News feeds carried images of the small alien tribe, their broken homes, and their tired faces standing proudly beside human soldiers. People wept when they saw the child clinging to the elder's hand. They cheered when they heard how the tribe had refused to give him up even when death was certain. Humanity, scattered across stars, felt something deep and powerful. They saw not weakness in the tribe, but greatness. And for the first time, many realized that humanity was not alone in valuing courage and loyalty. Back on the small world, the captain walked through the village ruins with the elder. She leaned on her staff, her body wounded but her spirit unbroken. You risked much, he said softly. She looked at the child and answered, a child is life. A child is hope. If we do not protect that, then we have nothing. Her words struck him like a blade of truth, and he knew he must carry them back to Earth. Days passed, and the fleet prepared to depart. The tribe stood at the edge of their village, watching as ships lifted into the sky. Some feared that once the humans left, enemies would return to finish what they had started. But the captain promised them, you will not be forgotten. Your courage will be told. Earth will know what you have done. His words were not empty. When he returned to human space, he carried the child and the memory of the tribe with him. At Earth Command, he stood before the council and repeated what he had witnessed. His voice was steady, but inside, His heart burned with emotion. "These people fought for us," he declared. "They fought when they could have stayed silent. They bled for a child that was not theirs. If we turn away from them now, then what does our name mean? If we allow them to be destroyed for choosing compassion, then who are we?" The council debated long into the night. Some warned of danger. If we protect them, our enemies will see it as weakness. They will test us further. Others argued, no, they will see it as strength. They will know humanity does not abandon those who stand beside us. Outside the chambers, news of the tribe spread like wildfire. Families lit candles in their honor. Children painted their images on walls and whispered their names in bedtime prayers. Soldiers swore that if ever the tribe was attacked again, they would fight twice as hard. The tribe's story had become something greater than one village, greater than one battle. It had become a mirror, showing humanity its own reflection in another species. At last, the council reached a decision. Earth's leaders rose and declared to the stars, "Any species who risks everything to protect a child of humanity will forever be under our protection. Let all enemies know, those who stand with us will never stand alone." The announcement rang across human space, carrying both promise and warning. Allies cheered. Enemies scowled. But all understood, the small tribe on the quiet green world was no longer defenseless. They now stood under the shield of Earth itself. Back in their village, still rebuilding from the ashes, the elder looked up at the sky. She did not yet know of Earth's decision, but she felt it in her bones. She had trusted that her people's sacrifice would not be in vain. The child, now laughing and playing once more, carried a future brighter than before. And far above, in the silence of space, messages spread like fire. The story of the tribe had only just begun, and the galaxy would never forget what they had done. The decision of Earth's council was not made in silence nor without weight, for the galaxy was watching with hungry eyes. Messages flew across star systems, and whispers turned into debates on every world where humans lived. Some said Earth should remain cautious, for enemies were always waiting for a mistake. Others cried out that to ignore the tribe's sacrifice would make humanity no better than the monsters who had tried to take the child. In great halls of marble and steel, leaders gathered in long sessions, their voices sharp, their hands striking against tables, their arguments burning through the night. Generals warned of war. They said protecting one small tribe might invite an invasion from rivals, and they spoke of fleets and casualties and the heavy cost of promises. But others stood with fire in their voices and spoke of honor. They said that to abandon those who had fought for a child of Earth would stain humanity forever. They reminded the council of the child's tears, the elders' wounds, and the blood of villagers who had fallen so that one small human life might be spared. The debate lasted for days, and outside the chambers, ordinary people filled the streets, demanding justice for the tribe. Screens glowed with images of the battle, showing the small alien warriors standing with spears against towering, armored enemies. The sight stirred hearts across Earth. Children marched in parades carrying handmade banners that read, "Protect the Protectors." Families lit candles in windows for the tribe. Songs were written, poems spread, and the names of the fallen aliens were spoken in homes where no one had ever heard of their world before. Humanity's spirit was being tested, and the answer grew louder each day. At last the council called a final vote. The chamber was filled with silence as each leader raised their hand. One by one, the tally grew, and when the last hand lifted, the decision was clear. Humanity had chosen not to remain silent. Humanity had chosen not to stand aside. The highest voice of the council rose and carried across every channel, every fleet, every world of man. "Let it be known to all," he declared, "that those who defend the innocent of Earth are forever under Earth's protection. Let every enemy hear us and tremble, for to strike them is to strike us." The words echoed like thunder across the stars. In human space, cheers erupted, soldiers saluted, and the streets filled with celebration. But in the shadows of distant worlds, the reaction was darker. Rival empires listened with clenched jaws. They saw not compassion but power. They understood that Earth's promise was not only a shield for one small tribe but a declaration that humanity would expand its circle of allies, gathering strength through loyalty and courage. To them, it was a threat, and they began to sharpen their blades in secret. Back on the green world, the tribe gathered in their village square as a human envoy arrived. The elder stood tall though her body was still scarred. The child sat at her side, smiling as if he had always belonged there. The envoy spoke with pride. Earth has spoken. You are no longer alone. Any who raise a hand against you will face the wrath of humanity. The villagers gasped, some in disbelief, others with tears streaming down their faces. They had been ready to die for one child, but now their sacrifice had given them more than survival. It had given them a future. The elder raised her staff and said, "We are small, but our hearts are strong. We did not act for reward, yet we accept this gift with honor. From this day, our lives are bound together." And so a bond was sealed, not by treaty or trade but by blood spilled in the defense of innocence. For the humans, it was proof that compassion was power. For the tribe, it was the birth of hope. Yet even as joy spread, the human captain knew this was not the end. He saw shadows gathering in the corners of the galaxy, enemies whispering, preparing, watching with envious eyes. He knew Earth's judgment would inspire not only loyalty but hatred. The promise of protection was a light, but every light casts shadows. And somewhere, in the dark of space, the enemies of Earth were already plotting how to strike back, how to shatter this alliance before it grew too strong. The captain looked at the child and then at the elder. He swore silently that no matter what storm came, he would keep this promise. Humanity had spoken, and now it must stand ready to prove those words with steel and fire. The tribe, unaware of the dangers still gathering, sang songs of hope that night, their voices rising into the starlit sky. But above them, unseen, the galaxy was changing, and the price of Earth's judgment had only just begun to unfold. The message of Earth spread across the stars like fire through dry grass, unstoppable and blazing with power. On every human world the words were repeated, and on every rival world they were feared. Those who risk all for a child of humanity shall forever be under Earth's protection. It was not only a promise, it was a warning, and the galaxy listened with wide eyes. For the tribe on the small green world, the declaration became reality when Earth's fleets arrived in orbit. Dozens of ships shone in the sky like silver guardians, their hulls marked with the banners of humanity. The villagers looked up in awe, their hearts swelling with relief. No longer were they alone, no longer did they fear the shadows that lurked among the stars. The human captain returned to the village, standing before the elder and her people. His voice carried pride and gravity. "From this day, you are under Earth's shield. No enemy may touch you. No hand may strike you without facing us." The tribe cheered, their voices rising in songs of joy. Children danced, elders wept, and warriors laid down their spears in thanks. The human child, now smiling, held the elder's hand as if he belonged to her as much as he belonged to Earth. Yet even in this moment of celebration, whispers of danger stirred beyond the horizon. In distant halls of rival empires, leaders slammed their fists on tables and snarled in anger. "Earth grows bold," one spat. "They turn every small tribe into a weapon, every act of loyalty into a shield. If this spreads, their power will multiply." Another hissed, "Others will see this as a chance to gain Earth's protection. They will seek humans, defend humans, all to hide under Earth's shadow. We cannot allow it." Plans were drawn in secret chambers. Fleets were prepared in silence. Assassins sharpened their blades. Though Earth's words were strong, enemies were stronger still, and their hatred burned hotter with every passing day. Back on the green world, life slowly began to return. Human engineers helped rebuild the village with stronger walls, sturdier homes, and shields that glowed faintly in the night. Medical teams healed wounds, and supplies were shared freely. The tribe watched in wonder as machines worked beside them, and though they had little to offer in return, they gave songs, dances, and stories of the old days. Bonds of friendship grew deeper. The elder spoke often with the human captain, and in their talks she reminded him of the truth she had always known. Strength is not only in weapons, she said, it is in choosing to protect what is weak. That is where honor lives. The captain nodded, carrying her words like a blade of light in his heart. The child, who had once cried every night for his parents, now laughed and played among the tribe's young. He chased them along the riverbanks, learning their games, their words, their ways. In his small voice he began to sing their songs, and the tribe smiled to hear a human child carry their melody. But far away, in the darkness between stars, the rival empires moved. They sent spies to watch, gathering every detail. They spread rumors that Earth was weak, that Earth would not fight for a small tribe when true war began. They sent secret ships to test Earth's defenses, probing the borders, looking for cracks. And when none appeared, their hatred only grew. In their darkest chambers, leaders whispered a new plan. If we strike the tribe quickly, before Earth can fully defend them, perhaps we can shatter this new alliance. Perhaps we can show the galaxy that Earth's words are hollow. The tribe, unaware of these whispers, continued their songs of peace. They believed Earth's protection was unshakable, and they trusted in the promise made to them. But the human captain, more cautious, kept his soldiers near. He knew the galaxy too well. Promises inspired loyalty, but they also invited enemies to test them. One night he stood by the river, looking at the stars. The elder came to stand beside him, her staff glowing faintly in the moonlight. "You feel the storm," she said quietly. He nodded. "They will not rest. They will come again." She looked at the child sleeping nearby, his face calm and innocent. "Then we will stand again," she said. "We stood before with nothing but spears. Now we stand with Earth. Let them come." Her voice was soft but unyielding, and the captain found strength in her words. He looked up at the stars and whispered a vow. "Let them come. This time they will not find us unprepared." And so the world slept, unaware that in the shadows of space, fleets were already moving, engines burning cold, their weapons pointed at the small tribe whose courage had changed the galaxy. The promise of Earth was strong, but soon it would be tested, and the true cost of declaring protection had yet to be paid. Across the galaxy, in cold dark halls built of iron and shadow, the enemies of Earth gathered. They sat around long tables, their faces hidden by masks of steel and glass, their voices sharp and bitter. Anger filled the chamber as news of Earth's declaration reached them. "They dare to speak for the galaxy," one growled, his claws scraping across the table. "They raise weak tribes into shields and call it protection. Soon half the stars will crawl to them, begging for safety, and humanity will grow stronger." Another hissed, his eyes glowing red. "We must crush this alliance before it spreads. We must strike at the root before the tree grows too tall." Plans were whispered, dark and heavy. They would test Earth's resolve, not by open war at first, but by blood in the shadows. The chosen target was clear, the small tribe that had been lifted by Earth's promise. If the tribe was destroyed, if their bodies burned and their songs silenced, then the galaxy would see that Earth's protection was nothing but empty words. Fleets began to move in secret, slipping through dark routes unguarded by Earth's watch. Saboteurs were sent to spread lies among neutral worlds. They whispered that the tribe had never cared for the human child, that their sacrifice was a tale spun by Earth to gain power. They told traitors that Earth's fleets were stretched thin, that humanity's shield would crack under pressure. And in hidden bases, soldiers trained for a swift strike, sharpening their blades, charging their cannons, ready to spill blood. Meanwhile, on the green world, life returned slowly. The tribe rebuilt their homes stronger than before, their children laughed by the river, and songs filled the night sky once again. They trusted in Earth's promise, believing the shield above them was unbreakable. The elder walked among her people with a calm smile, though her heart carried quiet worry. She had lived long enough to know peace never lasted. The human captain stayed close as well, his soldiers patrolling the skies, scanning the stars each night. He felt the tension in the air like a storm waiting to break. He warned the council that enemies would not remain silent, but many leaders believed the promise of protection alone would hold back the darkness. They underestimated the hate that burned in rival hearts. Far away, in a black system where no sun shone, the enemy fleets gathered. Hundreds of ships, their hulls jagged and cruel, floated in silence. Their commanders spoke only one command: strike swiftly, strike hard, and leave no survivors. Engines flared as they began their journey toward the green world. On the small planet, the Elder dreamed of fire. She saw the sky burning, the rivers boiling, and her people crying out. She woke with a shiver, gripping her staff tightly, and whispered into the dark, "It is coming." The captain too felt it. Reports came from scouts of strange movements in nearby systems. Merchant ships vanished without word. And in the distance, faint signals appeared and then disappeared, as if someone was watching from afar. He called his officers together. "We must prepare," he said. "The enemy will not allow this alliance to live." His soldiers nodded, their faces grim. They began to build stronger defenses, setting shields around the village, digging trenches, and placing sentry towers. The tribe joined them, their warriors sharpening spears and learning the use of simple rifles the humans shared. For the first time, humans and aliens trained side by side, moving as one. The child, though small, watched with wide eyes, feeling the weight of what was to come. Days passed, and the tension grew. The villagers sang to hide their fear, but the air was heavy, and every glance at the sky carried unease. Then one night the stars vanished, swallowed by black shapes descending from orbit. The enemy had arrived. Their ships hung above the world like predators, silent and merciless. The Elder stood in the village square, staff raised, her people gathered around her. The captain's voice rang through the comms. "They are here. All forces, prepare to fight. We hold until the fleets of Earth arrive." The enemy hailed them, a voice dripping with malice filling the air. "You believe Earth can save you. You believe their words mean safety. But tonight, you will learn that promises are nothing in the face of power." The Elder answered with steady strength, her voice calm though her heart pounded. "We will stand as we stood before. You may break our bodies, but you will never take this child, nor the honor we earned." The enemy laughed, and then the sky opened with fire. Blasts rained down, striking shields, tearing the ground, shaking the village. The tribe cried out but did not scatter. The humans fired back, their cannons blazing, their soldiers charging to meet the invaders. The battle had begun, fiercer than before, and the fate of the promise made by Earth now rested on this world. In the shadows of space, more enemy fleets moved closer, waiting to see if Earth would truly come. The galaxy watched, holding its breath. Would humanity prove its word, or would this tribe fall alone? The night sky burned as enemy fire rained down, lighting the horizon with endless flashes. The green world trembled under the weight of war, but in the heart of the village the tribe stood firm beside their human allies. The Elder held her staff high, her eyes glowing with unshaken resolve, while the human captain shouted orders to his soldiers, his voice carrying strength that spread like fire through the frightened hearts of all who listened. The enemy descended in waves, black armored troops flooding from their ships like a tide of death, weapons blazing, voices filled with hatred. But the tribe did not scatter, they did not bend, they met the storm with spears, with rifles, with the courage of those who had nothing left to lose but their honor. The child, hidden in a shelter at the center of the village, could hear the cries of battle outside, his small hands trembling, his eyes wide with fear and awe as he watched shadows flicker through cracks in the walls. Outside, warriors fell, but for each who fell another stepped forward, refusing to yield. The air shook with explosions, smoke curled over the village, and still the defenders stood. The captain knew they could not hold forever, that the enemy numbers were too great, but he also knew they had only one task: to survive until Earth's fleets arrived. Every second was a victory, every heartbeat stolen from the enemy was a promise kept to the tribe. In the dark void above, signals blazed through the stars, and across the galaxy human fleets raced with engines burning hotter than they ever had before. Earth had heard the cry for help, and they were coming, but space was vast and time was cruel, and until they arrived, the small world had to stand alone. The enemy commanders laughed, mocking over comms as they pressed their attack. "Where is your Earth now?" they sneered. "Where is the shield they promised? Your flames will die before they come." But the Elder, standing among the smoke, answered with a voice that carried across the battlefield. We are the shield. We are the fire. Earth's promise lives in us until their ships touch the sky. Her words sparked new strength in the tribe, and they roared in defiance, surging forward once more. The enemy pushed harder, their fury growing, but then a sound filled the heavens that silenced even the cruelest laughter. It was the thunder of engines, countless engines, shaking the stars themselves. The sky split open as Earth's fleet dropped from hyperspace, vast ships covering the heavens like steel guardians. Their weapons lit the dark with rivers of fire, striking the enemy ships with unstoppable force. The enemy, once confident, now screamed in fear as their vessels shattered under human guns. The ground shook as enemy troops looked upward to see the tide turn against them. The human captain raised his blade high, his voice rising. Earth has come. And with those words, hope returned like a flood. The defenders surged forward, driving the enemy back, their hearts blazing with unbreakable spirit. Above, the enemy fleet broke apart, some destroyed, some fleeing into the void, their commanders shouting in rage as Earth's wrath fell upon them. Below, the tribe fought beside the humans, striking down those who dared to set foot on their land. By dawn the sky was quiet, the fires dying, and the battlefield was covered with silence. The enemy was gone, driven into the dark, their plan broken, their pride crushed. The tribe, battered and bloodied, stood alive, and their songs rose once more, this time in victory. The child was carried out from the shelter, his eyes wide as he looked upon the heroes who had saved him, his small voice whispering, "They are safe now." The elder stood tall, though her body ached with wounds, and the human captain bowed his head to her. "Your courage saved not just this world," he said, "but the honor of Earth's word. The galaxy will know that humanity does not speak empty promises." Word spread quickly, faster than light, carried through comms and whispers across the stars. Every world heard of the battle, every race learned of the tribe who stood for a human child, and of Earth who came with fire and steel to keep their word. Some trembled in fear, some in awe, but all understood one truth: Earth's protection was real, and any who sought to test it would pay a heavy price. The rival empires who had plotted in shadow now found themselves broken and silent, their fleets in retreat, their plans shattered. They had meant to prove Earth weak, but instead they had proven humanity strong beyond measure. The tribe became a legend, their name carried in human songs, their faces carved into monuments of honor. They were no longer a small forgotten people on a distant green world. They were allies of Earth, guardians of a promise, living proof that courage could change destiny. The human child, who had once been lost and alone, grew up among both worlds, learning from the tribe and from his own people, his heart carrying the story of those who risked everything for him. In years to come he would tell the tale again and again, standing before crowds on Earth and beyond, his voice steady as he said, "They saved me when they did not have to. They stood when they could have run. And because of them, humanity stands with them forever." And so the story became more than a memory, more than a battle, it became a symbol across the stars. It was whispered to children, sung in halls, and written in history. They risked everything for one human child, and in doing so they won not just Earth's protection but Earth's eternal respect.